We're honored to have Rabbi Gladshteyn from Yad Ramah shul of Ramot Bet, Jerusalem with us here to speak about the amazing communities that he had built for Russian Balchuvas. And many of us in America are now considering making Aliyah, and we are looking for a home that is welcoming to our mentality, for the values that we stand for, and we're here to explore and learn, and we appreciate Rabbi Gladshteyn's time to share with us his wisdoms, and there will be a couple of members of the community to speak as well, to give us a better idea about the community, schools, and so on. So please go ahead.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. This week I'm actually in Toronto, so I'm probably in a much better context to tell you about what's going on in Jerusalem, because whenever you're actually outside, it becomes a lot easier to appreciate what it really is. Okay, so as I mentioned, I prepared a small presentation. Let's go into it. I'll tell you how it's structured, and then we'll roll. Can you see the blue screen with the turtle on it?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, so I guess I'm not sharing. One sec.
You might need the host privilege. Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
Anything changed?
Yes, we have the screen. Thank you.
Okay, very well. So here is how I intend to structure the presentation. I'll tell you a little bit about Jerusalem. Then I'll tell you about a specific neighborhood we're in, and only then I'll proceed to tell you about the community. Because the reason why we are the way we are is because we're situated in a very specific place. And the thing with the different communities in Israel is that not only communities differ in a very dramatic way from one city to another, they're differ in a very dramatic way from one neighborhood in one city to another. Okay, so because Jerusalem is the only city in Israel where you have a reasonably large, by North American standards, Jewish presence, it puts a certain prism on what we do. Here's what I'd like to tell you. The neighborhood we're in, it's the northern neighborhood of Jerusalem. We're located in the northern part, that's Ramot, see? And the reason why it's important for me to mention is that it functions essentially as a separate city. On the one hand, Ramot, the neighborhood we're in, it's a part of Jerusalem, both in terms of the municipal structure and halachically, meaning that we have a Shushan Purim, we don't have a regular Purim, but because it's a separate neighborhood, it gives a very distinct feel to it. So one thing that is important to mention is that the size of Ramot. Ramot is pretty much the same size, the neighborhood, as many cities in Israel. Same size as Tzfat, Tveria, Modi'in, and so on and so forth. So one of the reasons why I think that the Russian American Oleh would really benefit from knowing about Ramot is because Ramot is probably the most diverse neighborhood in Jerusalem, most diverse neighborhood in Jerusalem. You would see that the entire spectrum of religious life is represented. You would have Hasidic communities, you would have Litvish communities, you have several modern Orthodox communities, you have several Dati Leumi, what's called the Kippa Sruga communities in Ramot. It's the advantage of that is that most of the people in North America, they do not belong to a very specific category. When you're In Chutz La'aretz, when you're outside of Israel, usually people do not define themselves into very specific categories as it usually happens in Israel. So when in the course of your life in Jerusalem, you change, and it's inevitable, you will change. You would not have to uproot your entire family to move from one neighborhood to another. The entire spectrum that exists in the Jewish world represented in Ramot. We're talking the spectrum from furthermost part of Ramot, which is essentially Mea Shearim, to people that are really, really, really light, very, very modern Orthodox. So whenever you're going through changes, and whenever you are making Aliyah to Israel, you will be going to changes. One of the advantages of Ramot is that you need to move in order to change. From my perspective, that's a huge bonus. Second part, because I'm talking to a very specific audience, it's really important to understand that the Russian American Oleh is a very specific community. One thing that is really important to understand about Ramot is that Ramot has a fairly large English-speaking community, and Ramot has a fairly large Russian-speaking community. One thing that happened to me is that at first I made Aliyah from Toronto almost 12 years ago, 11 and a half. And I lived in Toronto from 18 for 17 years. And when I was 35, when I moved to Yerushalayim, at first I wasn't even thinking about the Ramot. I was looking at a community for English speakers. The more time I was spending in Israel, the more Russian, if you can say it, I was becoming. And within a year, I realized that I want to be connected to the Russian community as well. That even though I grew up to some extent in Canada, I realized that it's not something that would work for me when I'm in Israel. And that's why for me, it's really important to emphasize that in Ramot, you have both options. You have an option to be connected to the English-speaking community. You have an option to be connected to the Russian-speaking community. Obviously, there is also a substantial portion of the Israelis. They compose about 90% of the neighborhood, but 10% of a neighborhood of 65,000 people, it's quite a bit. So one other thing that is important to realize about the Ramot is that it's a new neighborhood. Many of the things are still being built. So when the Russian Americans in any numbers are coming to Ramot, because it's a neighborhood that's growing, the newcomers are going to be ahead of the game, meaning that A, they will to a certain extent define the neighborhood, and B, because it's not an established neighborhood, things are a lot more flexible, which at the very beginning stages of Aliyah is extremely important. Now, one of the things that people are always asking about are what are the options for the children. Now, in terms of once again, the diversity of the educational options for the children, it's really important to emphasize that from my perspective, Ramot has every single option that's available under the sun. And you have very Haredi options like Cheder and Talmud Torah. You have Beit Yaakov for girls. There are 3 different schools. There are 2 Litvische Beit Yaakov schools and 1 Hasidische. You have a Rappaport school. I would say 70%, well, not 70, 60%, 60 to 70% of the children there are children of English-speaking parents. Quite popular among Americans. There is Noam, which is the Leumi school for boys. There is Beit Sholomit, which is a high school for girls. That's also the Leumi. So you have, once again, pretty much every single level in terms of the starting from kindergarten up until high school for every single spectrum that is represented. So this is a general picture of what Ramot is about. If you'd like, I downloaded a small clip from a new building project in Ramot. Once again, it's a promotional video. I have no conflict of interest showing it. I am not funded by them, but it kind of gives you a taste of what Ramot is like. You have to keep in mind that it's a promotional video by a building company, so they paint it in an especially rosy picture. If you'd like, it's a 3-minute video. I can show it to you. If we're not interested, we can just skip it. So I'll just stop sharing. Let's take a vote, and let's see if anyone is interested in seeing what the Ramot is potentially like. 1 vote for. Okay, 2. Okay, looks like most of the people want to see the video. You'll have a 3-minute clip during which you'll be able to see how they sell you real estate in Jerusalem. 1 sec.
Imagine an advanced Jerusalem. A network of light rail lines and highways that connect every point of the city quickly and conveniently to the heart center of the metropolis. Highways that lead to and traverse the center without traffic jams or delays. New projects being built to the highest standards and changing the face of the cityscape. This is how Jerusalem's neighborhood of the future is being built. Ramot 360. From the company that initiated and built the Ramot shopping mall, New Home is proud to present a brand new lifestyle that changes the residential visage of Jerusalem. Ramot 360 is built in the best location in the center of the Ramot neighborhood. It enjoys the advantages of the proximity to the bustling Ramot Mall, as well as the planned adjacent train station, which will connect the neighborhood to every part of the city efficiently and conveniently. Privacy for the residents is maintained thanks to the upper-level location of the neighborhood, as well as a quiet entrance from Congress Street to the residential neighborhood. A well-maintained and pastoral park is nestled between the buildings and public spaces for the residents' enjoyment. Magnificent high-ceiling lobbies of Jerusalem. The project is located in the Ramot neighborhood, the new gateway to Jerusalem, with especially convenient transportation access to and from the city. Ramot 360 is planned as a whole-life complex. It includes a synagogue, daycare centers, and fully equipped playground. Just a stone's throw away from your doorstep is a large, high-quality shopping mall that includes branches of all health funds, banks, a pharmacy, supermarkets, and thousands of meters of useful businesses and community services needed on a daily basis. Imagine a morning where you finished your shopping center next door, leave your car in the parking garage, take the elevator down straight to the light rail station, and within minutes you arrive at your destination on the other side of the city. Ramot 360, living today in the Jerusalem of tomorrow.
One thing that is really important to mention that it's a promotional video, suffers from several, let's call it in a politically correct way, errors of omission. For example, for some reason they neglect to tell you that the light rail that they talk about that connects the Ramot to the city, they didn't even start building it. So by Israeli standards, that's about 10 years away, but they're selling it to you anyhow. So once again, the graphics are great. The light rail is not there, probably going to be there in 10 years. Wanted to show you what it might look like in another 10 years. It's a neighborhood in progress. So you get to participate in building it up. Okay, let's go back to the presentation. Okay, I see that some questions are beginning to come in. I see those questions. I will address them once I'm done talking about the shul. We spoke about Jerusalem. We spoke about Ramot. Let's speak about the shul. I also have two people from our community who graciously decided to share some of their time to talk about it. We have Esther here, who's been watching this entire presentation. She'll either be able to corroborate my testimony or say that my presentation regarding Ramot and Yad Ramah is a little bit like the promotional video of the real estate company. So I'm wrapping up my stuff in about 5 minutes, and we'll see what others have to say. Okay, so in terms of Yad Ramah. Now, Yad Ramah was founded in 2012, and it started out started out fairly slowly. Started in 2012. We started by having monthly meetings in our living room. I was able to handle, well, actually, who is talking about me? My wife really somehow managed to handle this for about 1.5 years. And the entire credit for the existence of Yad Ramah should go to her, because if it wouldn't be for her, there would be no continuation, because I still have no understanding how she was able to manage it for 1.5 years before we managed to move to a shul that we're currently renting. Now, about the community, we have about 60 families that are connected to our community. We actually have 5 families who, just like me, lived for a portion of their life in Canada or in made Aliyah and decided to live in Yerushalayim. So there will be some people who will be understanding what the new Olim from North America will be going through. In terms of the shul, what we have a number of different things. We have Shacharis Mincha Maariv every single day. We have, for most of the days, for most of the weeknights, we have classes. Shabbos, obviously, we also have prayers on Shabbatot as well. Once a month, Shabbos Mevorchin, we have a communal gathering. All of the holidays, also, we have special celebrations. During the daytime, meaning from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m., we have a small yeshiva for Balei Tshuva, Russian speaking. So those who are working, let's say, on North American hours, and with the current COVID pandemic, many Israelis are switching to North American hours because everything is done by the video conferencing. So those who are interested, they can learn half the day, let's say from 9 to 12, 10 to 1. We have the resources for that. The shul is a Nusach Sfarad shul. A significant portion of the families who are going to the shul are in some way, shape, or form connected to Savraner Rebbe. It's a Hasidus that's been in Jerusalem for the last 8 generations, pretty much since the beginning of Soviet Union, so for the last, 80 years. And the shul itself is not Hasidic. One advantage that we have by being connected to a Hasidic Rebbe is whenever there are really complicated issues and really complicated halachic questions, we have assistance from Gdolei Israel, and with Balei Tshuva, this is something that comes handy. Most of the questions and most of the issues that modern Baal Tshuva is facing, people who are from birth, they never ask those questions. So it's really helpful to be in touch with Gdolei Israel to be able to get the questions for the most pressing issues. Now, In terms of what else do we have? Age of the Kehila. We have the average, I'd say we have a bimodal distribution. There are people in between 25 and 45. And there are people 60 plus. And most of the families are young families. And the entire neighborhood is kind of a new neighborhood, up and coming, and it's one of those things that's important to emphasize. Now, one item that is important to mention is that if you're interested in seeing what we do, most of the events that we have are available online. You will be able to see what we do. If that's a project for the shul, it's also pretty much in the same stage as the light rail link to the center of the city, but that's what we intend to do in a couple of years, Bezrat Hashem. Now, if you want to follow us on social media, you can either sign up for my page on Facebook, or you could find us, or you could sign up and subscribe for the Yad Ramah page on Facebook and look at our events, etc., etc. From my perspective, the bulk of the things I wanted to communicate to you, I'm done with. I do see that there is a significant number of questions. I would like to give Esther an opportunity to say a few words regarding the Ramot and our community. I'm not a host, so I wouldn't be able to switch the microphone. Hopefully Rabbi Gladshteyn can do that for us.
I think I can do it.
Yeah.
It's done, naturally. Thank you. It was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay, hi everyone, and thank you for having me. It's very exciting to speak here about Ramot that I like so much, and to share my Aliyah experience. So first of all, I came to Ramot, made Aliyah some 8 years ago, and I live in Ramot most of this time. And it was a real Ashgacha Pratit because I never planned it, and I never considered this exact neighborhood. I made no research about Jerusalem when I came here, came just with a little suitcase and one-way ticket to spend the summer and to check if I'm able to stay for a longer time. And my first choice was Tel Aviv. But then the situation changed and I had to look very quickly for a place to stay. And people from my Moscow community advised me to go to study Judaism in Midrasha in Jerusalem. So after spending months in the Midrasha, people there advised me to visit Ramot and said it could be a good idea to stay here. There was a nice place with short stay apartments in Ramot, so I came to check it out and totally fell in love with the place and with the neighborhood. And that's how I'm still here. First I lived in Ramot Gimel, then I moved to Ramot Aleph. And that's how it all started. And it was a very emotional choice. It wasn't logical at all. But I just saw the atmosphere, I saw the people and the place, and I understood I want to stay here for as long as I can. I belong here. So if I'm speaking generally about Ramot, it's a very, very nice place with a lovely atmosphere, with beautiful nature, with breathtaking views. And it's like living in a big city on one hand, and at the same time living in the countryside. It's very, very diverse and very nice. And I heard about Yad Ramah community from people that are somehow connected to my midrasha. I studied in the place that had a special program for Russian-speaking girls, new immigrants. And different families invited us for Shabbos meals. And from one of these families, I heard about Rabbi Gladshteyn and received his contact details and wrote to him. And he invited me to the community for Lag BaOmer celebration. It was like one of the annual events. It was very, very nice and beautiful. And I think it was even before they had an official synagogue. It was when they just started to meet in Rabbi's house. After when the community moved to a new building, I started to attend classes and Shabbos services and community meals and events, meetings with the Savraner Rebbe, with different interesting people. And the style reminded me so much of Moscow communities, made me feel a bit nostalgic, and gave me opportunity to meet very, very interesting people and learn many new things. I think that in Israeli synagogues, the adaptation usually takes time. It's not always so simple. But in Yad Ramah, it was a very quick and very natural process, almost immediate, that helped me feel at home here. It has very, very friendly and open atmosphere. And by the way, I'm an artist, and my first art exhibition also happened in Yad Ramah, and the community helped me to organize it. So it was also a very nice experience. So if you have any questions, any concrete questions, I'm ready to answer them.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Спасибо большое.
You can raise your question. Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you very much to Esther for description of our Kehillah. I really appreciate it. And one of the things that's important to mention is that the pictures 12 Tribes of Israel by Esther Surikova are still making our shul one of the most beautiful shuls in Jerusalem. And we're grateful to the contribution to our shul. Here online we have David Katz, who made Aliyah from San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken, 10 years ago. And he'll be able to tell you a little bit more about Jerusalem and Yad Ramah.
Hi guys, I don't really have a nice presentation prepared, to just say a couple of words, and if I can answer any specific questions, I'll be glad if I can be of any help. Like Eliyahu said, I came, actually I think we came like same year, like 11 years ago, and I think met in Ulpan. Basically, we have 4 kids. The oldest is already finished school, and others follow. So in terms of schools, what I can say is that Ramot has very convenient location. It's close to what's called Knisat La'ir. It's like entrance to the city, which basically means proximity to the exit from the city. If you're going anywhere to the Merkaz, to the center of the country, because many jobs are out there, so like it makes the commute much faster as opposed to if you have to cross entire Jerusalem in your commute. That's one big plus. Another plus is that in terms of schools, practically it doesn't mean that you have to find schools specifically in Ramot, because the coverage with the Asaot, with the school transportation, is really good. So let's say schools in somewhere in Kanfei Nisharim, also like center of the city, it's probably like 15 minutes probably, right? From Ramot, 15-20 minutes probably. So a lot of schools are there. My 2 girls are learning close to Kanfei Nisharim right now. Actually, one already graduated, she learned there. Another one is learning there right now. And pretty much most of the schools of Jerusalem within the feasible reach, even for smaller kids, like our oldest boy, he was going to Rappaport. At the time it was across the city, although he was only in 2nd grade. It's probably not the best, but it's doable. So in terms of schools, it's pretty much like entire Jerusalem is within reach. What else? Yeah, jobs I mentioned. The Har Chotzim is literally, it's the biggest IT jobs hub where I also work. From Jerusalem, from Ramot, it's literally you exit Ramot and you in Har Chotzim. So it's about 5-7 minutes drive probably from the most of the Ramot. Again, Ramot is quite large. They probably it's like from 3 minutes to 7 minutes. If you're going out to the Merkaz, the traffic, of course, is not pretty if you're going in the regular hours. But again, being close to the exit of the city significantly cuts it. Fortunately, again, I work in Har Chotzim, which is very close by, and it's not an issue. What else? Community-wise, I love the community. Eliyahu makes a great Rav, and it's very warm, very open, and I feel very welcome there. So it's better you can find out only by visiting and tasting for yourself. So if you guys have any questions, we'll be glad to.
Yeah, quick question. How far is it to the Kotel, walking distance? Can you walk to the Kotel?
Oh, it's doable. It's a little bit, can be a little bit tough, especially in the summer. So again, the Ramot is quite big. So the closest is probably like hour and a half. And if you're going from the furthest parts of Ramot, it's probably about 2 hours, right, Eliyahu? Sounds about right. One way. So it's doable, but you need to have to be in a good shape.
Okay, thank you.
There are people who do it on a routine basis. I personally never walked from Ramot to the Kotel. I don't think I'd be capable, but technically speaking, it's definitely. I mean, from where our shul is located, it's about an hour and a half.
Great. Thank you. And can someone talk about a little bit about the prices? Do you guys rent? Do you purchase your own place? And also if you can own a piece of land so you can do some extra mitzvahs.
That would be for Eliyahu.
Yeah, I'll, one sec. I think I'm on. Okay, first of all, thank you very much to David for participating. David is very busy, and Baruch Hashem managed to share some of the insights with us. I really appreciate it. In terms of, so let's go to the questions from the chat. Okay, questions, how do I do that? One sec. Aha, there we go. Okay, so we're going to the questions regarding the real estate rent possibility of owning the land to grow a few things. Okay. Land is becoming fairly expensive in Jerusalem. For example, since the last time, well, not last time, since the time when we came to Ramot, I would say prices, well, they didn't double yet, but in the last 10 years, they nearly doubled. I would imagine that you have a somewhat similar dynamic in North America. Obviously, real estate market is local, but for example, in comparison to Toronto, real estate in Jerusalem is still fairly cheap. Now, it is constantly, well, once again, nothing goes constantly in a linear progression, but for the last 30 years, Jerusalem seems to be some sort of an abnormal market and prices are climbing. So if you're intending to buy, I think it's reasonably safe to assume that this kind of a progression will continue. So if you want to buy, the sooner you buy, the cheaper it's going to be. In terms of the rent prices, if I'm not mistaken, it really depends on the neighborhood within Ramot. because Ramot itself consists of several different parts with very different populations, and the price differential between the cheapest part and the most expensive part could be like 30%. So for let's say a 3-4 bedroom apartment, you could rent something for, okay, we're talking about US dollars, so it will be something like $1,500 to $1,800. That's the current rate. In terms of buying real estate, I don't really know, but these days most of the databases are online, so you can just Google Ramot real estate. You'll get two, three databases. The most prominent real estate agencies, brokerages that work in Ramot are Ramot Anglia, Eli Bouton, and a few others I don't remember. One thing to keep in mind is that the Israeli real estate transactions, it's a lot more convoluted than in US. It's not uncommon. To have, for example, one lawyer representing the buyer and the seller in the same transaction. Don't ask me how that works. I think it's completely ridiculous, but many Israelis buy it like that. I have no idea how it works. I didn't do it like that. But you have to keep in mind that the expectations regarding the actual process of buying are drastically different. So if you hear Israelis talking about a mortgage or insurance or a lawyer, they use the same words, but the meaning of those terms is completely different. I mean, there's no connection. It sounds the same. It's a completely different animal. This is about the real estate. I see someone is asking the next question. Ramot is mostly apartment buildings, as I understood. Okay, it's actually not the case. It depends on which Ramot. Within Ramot, there are 5 different neighborhoods, and Ramot Bet is almost exclusively private houses. You have single-family houses, and you have what's called in Israel cottages. Cottages is essentially what's in North America called the townhouse. At least that's how it's called in Canada. I'm not sure how it's called in the US. Ramot Bet is mostly single-family homes and cottages. Ramot Aleph also has some. If you were to go to one of those brokerages that specialize in real estate Ramot, you'll be able to see it. You'll be able to see it. Mind you, one thing to keep in mind, which was also shocking for me, there is no unified database of real estate transactions and real estate properties in Israel. So you will not be able to compare and see what was the asking price for the home down the street. That's why it's really important to have a trustworthy real estate agent. And there aren't that many of them. So keep in mind that you would not be able to pull all of the stats on the neighborhood like you would be able to do it in US and Canada. It just doesn't exist. It's some sort of a state secret. I have no idea how it works. So can you own a land to grow a few things? Now the question is how you define a few things. If you want to have some sort of a backyard where you literally would be able to grow a few things, for example, I have a lemon tree. I have a tree from which I cut hadassim for whenever I need them. I have a few other trees, but I mean, to buy a field, you would have to be independently wealthy. I mean, it's a neighborhood in the city. Okay, what else? What type of schools, boys, girls are available in our community? Okay, so as I mentioned, from my perspective, the entire spectrum is represented, from really kind of Israeli Haredi style schools for boys and girls to very modern grade school and high school. Religious and secular education level. Now, for example, most of the modern Orthodox schools in Ramot have a fairly high secular education level. That wouldn't be the case for schools that we would define as Haredi schools. In a Haredi school, so-called limudei liba are not going to be on the level you would expect for a religious school in North America. They just have a very different outlook on the secular subject. So if you're looking for a strong secular component, you would need to look into other schools in Ramot. As I mentioned, there is Rappaport, there is Noam, and there is Beit Shulamit. Those are the schools with really high standards for secular education. For example, the Beit Yaakov that I mentioned for girls, Beit Yaakov for girls has a really high secular education level. How that works, I'm not sure, because this is really Haredi, and yet standards are really high. In terms of, do you have any other questions regarding the educational system? Yes. I see the raised hand. I'm trying to figure out how to unmute. 1 second.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that we live in Ramat Eshkol. It's a different neighborhood in Yerushalayim. And we send our kids to a school in Neve Yaakov, and it's a really, really good school that we're very happy with. It's a boys' school. We would compare it maybe probably to even to Darche in the 5 towns, and we have a large amount of people that come in from Ramot Bet. I know.
What is the name of that school?
The school is called Bet Rabban. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm not talking about
Great.
necessarily Russian people, but I do know a lot of Israelis that live in that neighborhood sent to our school, and we're very, very happy with the school. And,
Okay, great.
Are the community members sending their kids to a particular school, both Haredi and modern? Where are the community members sending their kids to?
Educational choices for children of the community members are not uniform. It's not something I can say that vast majority of the people sent to a particular school. Significant portion send their kids to Rappaport. I'd say 30%. Another 30% send them to sort of a classic Haredi schools, and another third send them to what's called in Israel Kippah Sruga Dati Leumi. So it's third. Okay, in terms of, is it common to have a car, cleaning ready, TV, internet in our community? Okay, that's a loaded question. I'll start with the cleaning lady. The reason why I'd say it's a loaded question is that most of the people would actually like to have a cleaning lady. But in Israel, it is extremely challenging. I'd like to remind you that about 15 years ago, the wife of Aaron Barak, one of the prime ministers of Israel, got caught employing an illegal cleaning lady from the Philippines, and that kind of gives you the understanding of the scope of the problem. If the wife of a former prime minister was unable to find and legally employ a cleaning lady, that gives you sort of a sense of how complicated that could be. There are some people who are lucky. Some people have some schuyot from their forefathers, and they manage to find them. We had a really good cleaning lady for a long time, up until the point in time that she abandoned us. But once again, it's something that would be very much desirable. It's just it's not so easy to get. I mean, we don't have a border with Mexico, and kind of cuts the supply. Okay, a car. Now, in Ramot, it is common to have a car. Ramot also has a reasonably good public transit. Once again, that bit that they tell you regarding the light rail is a dream, okay? They didn't even start building it, but the buses go fairly regular, and you have to understand in Israel, buses go from start running half an hour after Shabbos, and they run up until about an hour and a quarter, let's say an hour and a half before Shabbos. So essentially, you have public transit in Yerushalayim round the clock, 24/6. It is common to have a car in Ramot. Now, TV, internet. Internet, I think 100% of the households in our neighborhood have internet. Regarding TV, I don't know. I haven't had a TV set in a long time, probably since '95. So I don't really know what to comment on it. These days, if a person has internet connection, whether they're connected to the TV or not is kind of immaterial. So I don't know. Do you have to pay extra for schools? Yes, you do have to pay extra for schools. How much? It depends on the particular school. It really depends. For example, if let's take it from the sort of lowest monthly contribution to the highest monthly contribution. If children go to some super Haredi Cheder and Talmud Torah, I would say up until they are 18 or so, there is no extra monthly payment, none, zero. The more secular subjects you want, the more you would have to contribute. The thing is like this. The Beit Yaakov in Ramot, where my girls go to, has a strong secular education level, at least from my perspective. And the monthly contribution are really low from my perspective. They charge something like 200 shekels a month, which is about slightly more than $50. So I would imagine that by American standards, that's called reasonably low. Now, regarding the options like Rappaport, Noam, and Beit Elisheva, I think it would be in line with the monthly contributions of the school that the Mishpachat Katzevman mentioned. Since they're here, it's probably better to ask them. I just don't know. I don't want to misquote the numbers. So if we can ask someone from Mishpachat Katzevman to let us know what it is, that'd be great.
What was the question? Where the school is? Bet Rabban?
The question is, the question was regarding the monthly fees. If there are extra payments for the school, the tuition fee.
Yeah, when it comes to money, I'm answering. So our school has a very strong secular department. Moreover, our school will give you a high school diploma, which is very unlikely and atypical. For Haredi school, I believe it's only one of the two in Yerushalayim Haredi schools that actually give your kids bagrut. So the costs 4,000 shekels a year, which turns into $100 a month, and that's like the most expensive. That's like as expensive as it gets. That includes transportation, includes food, includes extra. It has like 5 different extra curriculum activities, sports, computers, English, and it's like $100 a month. That's like as expensive as it gets.
It's considered
Okay,
Haredi
great.
Haredi Mamlachti, which means it's a Haredi school, but it's subsidized by the government.
Because they have to give the
required
secular status.
So yeah, if anybody has any further questions about the school.
The Ramah School presentation will be next week. No, I'm joking.
Great. Okay, so those are some of the things I wanted to mention about Ramot and our community at Ramah. If you have any further questions, I'm generally available on WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, phone.
I'm just wondering, do you have like a welcome Shabbos or something? Like, you have like welcome, like some sort of...
Well, since COVID, we have sort of a difficult time projecting what we have and what we don't have. But if you're interested, we can, the moment we will restart our semi-normal operations, I can, would be glad to have you over to try it out. When that would be, I'm not sure. Technically speaking, I think the current limit is 20 people. It could be that we'll start something semi-normal after Hagim, let's say Shabbat Bereshit or something like this. Probably not earlier than that. Yeah, that's the setup. For those who are contemplating Aliyah from North America, say Bruchim Habayim. This was probably one of the most important decisions in my life. And if you do not end up in Yerushalayim or in Ramot, you're more than welcome to come for a visit. And I'm really glad for the opportunity to present about Ramot and Yad Ramah. For everyone who's been watching and who will watch later on, Ktima v'Chatima Tova. Have a great year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the presentation. If there are any more questions, I'm sure I can share your email or communication information. Yeah. Thank you so much, Rabbi. I think we might all at some point come to visit and experience Yad Ramah for ourselves.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you.